All right.
Good morning.
Yes. Good morning, Facebook. Welcome to another Entrepreneurs Challenge. Wait, wrong show.
I was like, what? Entrepreneur Challenge.
Wrong
Entrepreneur Challenge
show.
is what she's been doing on her own with her daily life. She's going to go live for 365 days, and she's been doing it for 117 days
Yes, yes,
straight.
yes.
But that's not what we're doing right
That is
now.
not what we're doing right now. Can you tell that I need some? I don't drink coffee, so that's what I would say. Like that's what people say. People that drink coffee would say, "Man, need some coffee right now." But I don't know what I would drink to get
You need
some.
some energy.
Okay, I need some jumping jacks or something. I don't know. Is that not right to do on the show?
You probably don't want to do that on the show.
Okay.
Anyway,
Got you.
welcome to the Business
Yes.
Heroes podcast.
Thank
I
you.
am Victor,
I'm Mia.
and we are tired. But that's not why we're here.
We are.
We are here because we have a wonderful person that we're going to be interviewing today, somebody very near and dear to us. But tell a little bit about the show for those who might be watching the replay
Yes.
and for those who are viewing for the first time.
Absolutely. So, the Business Heroes podcast, where we highlight entrepreneurs who are pursuing purpose and profit so that they can affect the world for good. Okay. And Victor and I, we started our organization. Has it almost been 3 years now?
I don't even know.
I feel like it's been about 3 years at this point, but we've gone into the business phase as of it's been, I guess, a year plus now. And it all was birthed from the fact that I had what people would call a nervous breakdown years ago. I had been a principal and a teacher and just traveled around the world. But after my first daughter was born, I became very ill to the point of hospitalization. And I learned so many tips, tools, and strategies to improve my mental health and to help the mental health of others. And so now we do speaking engagements, workshops, trainings of various sorts to help not only purpose, but to pursue profit so that we can affect the world for good.
Mhm.
So that is us. And I'm really excited about today's show. I really am. I know I get excited about every show, but this time it's like it's into the heart, okay?
Mhm.
Because the person that we have on is so dynamic and so powerful. I mean, we're going to have to do something so people don't want to kidnap her, okay? Because she's just like, some people, do you have people in your life where you're just like, if I didn't have this person around, like in my life, what would I do? Like I feel like that's the type of person that's coming on our show today. And so we get to share her with you. She is our family member, actually. And she's amazing. Her name is Arlette. But before we bring her on, okay, she's going to talk about her wonderful job opportunity, her business that she has started. We want to share a word of the day with you. And Victor, can you pull it up and read it for us?
I can.
You're
But
going to say something else?
yes, I was
What
going
are
to
you going to
say,
say?
I like your hair. She did her hair again. And
Yes.
that came up. That's not what I meant.
It's okay.
It's beautiful. Your hair is beautiful. I wanted
Women
to
do
go
their
ahead
hair
and-
often, so I didn't feel like you were trying to shade me or
Okay,
anything
good.
like that. Yeah.
Good. You know, these lives, when you go live.
You go
Oh,
live.
boy.
You go live.
Yes.
It's
Anyway,
okay.
though, let's
I
go.
didn't feel shaded. I didn't.
Amen.
Yeah.
I just wanted to highlight that. You were
Thank
very
you for
beautiful
saying
today.
something, and I didn't, ask you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Thank you.
shucks.
I left some chapstick on your face.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. So we're going to go on with the word of the day,
Yes.
which is ingenuity.
Mm-hmm.
Ingenuity, something you definitely need if you are going to be starting your own business.
Oh, yes.
So definitions include number one, a skill or cleverness in devising or combining, inventiveness. Number two, the quality of being cleverly inventive or resourceful, skillful.
That's awesome. Man, I love this word. This is a word that I wanted to share with you all today because it really made me think about our presenter as well. When you hear what she's doing, you're going to think ingenuity, okay? And when I also think about, people that are ingenious or they have these things that they do, other people that come to mind would include, okay, people think Steve Jobs. Okay, this is an example of ingenuity. He created the iPhone and the iPads and the everything's, right? And a lot of things that we're enjoying and experiencing today is because of his ingenuity. But another person that people maybe don't think about as readily that I love is George Washington Carver. This man was an ingenious person, okay? I mean, this guy, he learned how to use peanuts, and from peanuts, he was able to make soap, insulation, like for your house, shaving cream, lotion. different types of medicines, over 300 things that he created with the peanuts. And so that is called creative. That is called ingenious. And so I feel that the person we have coming on today is an example of that. And I hope she doesn't feel pressure because we're, but that's really how I think of you when I think about her. Just she's just creative, you know, and just knows how to take something and just make it powerful. So anyway, without further ado, let's bring her on. Yay! Hi, Arlette.
Oh, that was a lot of pressure. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I was like, what are they talking about? Me? Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
Yes, of course we're talking about you, girl. Absolutely. You know, one of the things I love to do with you, Arlette, is for us to use our imagination because definitely when it comes to ingenuity, it's all about, you know, being able to use your imagination and have those creative powers. And especially when it comes to mental health, it's so important to repurpose our imagination for
Mhm.
good. You know, we can imagine so many harmful, hurtful things that make us sick, you know, and so your invention that you have created is amazing. And I'm just so excited that we get to talk about it. And thank you for coming on the show. And yay.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, yes. And so our first question to you, Arla, is just like tell us a little bit more about yourself and tell us, well, should
We
we
didn't
we
do the
didn't do her
bio.
bio. Okay, you're right.
Oh boy.
We're gonna do your bio
We're
first,
gonna do
okay?
right.
Okay.
And then you can comment on any part of your bio that you want. Yes,
All
please
right.
do her
So,
bio.
yes, CEO and founder of Open Door Cards, Arlette Thompson-Pile, realized early in life that it doesn't take much expertise to affect somebody positively.
Yes.
With her background in physical therapy, she found herself often being a therapist in many aspects, giving sound advice and encouraging physical and mental change. Noticing how mental health challenges were heavily weighing on her community, especially in the younger population, she realized that there were several difficult conversations
Yes.
that needed to take place. Understanding that that not everyone knows how to approach a loved one for these discussions, Open Door Cards was created.
Yes.
She's also written her first children's book, Look at That, I'm Off My Back, after seeing a need for a book made for parents that addresses flathead syndrome in infants, based on over 10 years of expertise in pediatrics and child development as a licensed therapist. Arlette resides in Maryland with her husband, my brother, and her fur baby, where she enjoys spending quality time with her loved ones, trying new hobbies, and assisting in church and community outreach youth programs. So, again, Arlette, welcome to the show. We're so glad to have you on
Thank
and be
Absolutely.
you.
related to you. Like, you don't have to say you my cousin because you're my sister in law. So, anyway,
This is
yeah.
always a blessing. I always count that a blessing.
Amen.
So man, there's so much to say. So pretty much I found like reflectively looking back over my life that I've always been someone who has to be doing multiple things at once ever since like childhood, you know, being in like choir, then Pathfinders, and then all these community events. And then in high school, I was probably doing community service every day after school in addition to schoolwork. I think that's just one of the personalities that God has given me, like having to do so much. I think some other people may identify that as like, I don't know, like ADD or
Alcoholism.
call it something
Yeah.
else. But I found that like I've always had to be doing multiple things, or you know, it's a thing I'm identifying with. I would feel guilty, you know, or I would feel like I was wasting time. And I don't know if that's just the Caribbean culture that's inbred into us that you have to be um, active, you have to be doing something. But I found that that has always been something that I have been always doing. And I realized that one of the other opportunities that God has given me is his communication with me. So I'm a believer and I'm a Christian, and I feel like growing up, God has always communicated to me through dreams. And in my dreams, I would always keep like a notebook beside my bed because I would wake up with these great ideas. And so I would write those ideas down. And over the years, I would begin so many ideas, guys, so many ideas I would start. I would either start the process by getting the website, start the process by sketching out a prototype for an invention, talk to multiple people, like start the planning, always get to a point, and then it was just like, oh, I want to do something else. I want to try something else. And I would just kind of switch. But I would say, in my journey, I found that like one thing that I've noticed and just trying to be more mindful of the gifts that I have is that people would often come to me for advice. People would often come to me in time of need or crisis, to receive like either prayer or just uplifting words or anything like that. And people would often tell me, you should have been a therapist. I do, like Victor said, I am a physical therapist assistant, so I do physical therapy. But people would tell me, you should have been a psychologist or a, psychiatrist or all these different things. And I'm like, well, Lord, I don't know if that was my calling. And in that, I often also had difficulty as being a believer and a Christian, kind of finding that balance of what is a trial by God versus what is a mental health challenge versus what is a medical challenge that you need intervention for versus what you need to pray about. That was always something that I found difficult. And I would have these conversations with people like, how do you know? How do you know? And for me personally, I don't think I had identified in myself all these years any mental health challenges. And I don't know if that was just something that was never in the forefront of my mind to identify, or if it was just something that I just always looked at as something else. And so I would say about 5 years ago, I had a very life-altering occurrence that was physical for me, and to the point of I was close to death. And at that time, in my recovery, I had dropped into a very great depression.
Yes.
And it was something that I had never experienced in my life. And I didn't even realize it was depression until I could not even pray. And then I was just like, okay, this is new. All of my life I've been able to pray and communicate. But in this point, I like that line to me was kind of cut off. And I think that was the first time I was able to identify like, okay, we have these challenges, these things that happen to us physically, mentally, that put us in these places where we need help outside of ourselves.
Yeah.
And I was able to say, okay, now I understand when other people are faced with mental health challenges that there's things that you say and there's things that you don't say. And in those moments of my depression, I realized like I wanted people to talk to me, but I recognized that no one knew what to say. So instead of them, they show their support by, hugging me or bringing me some food, the things that they knew what to do. But I needed a little bit more than that, but I didn't even know how to tell them what I needed at that time. So fast forward, I took a mental health first aid training class by someone very special. Yes, Mia. And I feel like God just kind of like clicked everything together. And in that, it was like a real aha moment. And this was one of the things that for the first time, no, I'm not going to say the first time. Okay, I'm going to put a pause here and backtrack.
Yes.
So before that happened, God had given me the idea for this book, this children's book. Look at that, I'm off my back. It's Practical Ideas for Preventing Flathead Syndrome.
And that's your book there, right? In the background.
This is my book right here in the background. And when he gave me that idea, and him pushing me through the steps to go through it, I was like, every step of the way, I was like, oh my goodness, I'm doing this. Okay, I'm doing this. Wait a minute. Okay, next step, complete. Check, check, check. Which was big for me because, like I had said, I've always started things and never saw them through to the end. And that was a big faith climb for me to be able to start something from beginning to end, finish it, publish it, go through it, and then, get positive feedback from it. And I believe that God had allowed me to do that, to say, hey, look, if I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Like, just walk with me through this journey. And so, go ahead.
I hate to interrupt, but some people might not know what flathead syndrome is.
Right,
Can you just talk a little bit about that? Don't lose your point, but just briefly, if you could explain that for us.
Okay, so flathead syndrome can happen at multiple times. So sometimes it can happen when the mother is actually pregnant and the baby is sitting somewhere in her uterus for a long position of time, and that will cause the head to flatten in a certain spot. because of the pressure of where the baby is sitting in the stomach,
Mm.
in the uterus. And so that could happen before the baby is even born, and then they're born with this flatness on one side of the head. And then there's also positional flathead syndrome, is when the baby is born and they are held in, I want to say containers, but when we say containers, as in somewhere that the parent or guardian feels is safe. And so most of the time that safe position is laying on their backs. Because of the Back to Sleep program, we've learned that, there is an increase of sudden infant death syndrome when the baby is laying on their stomach and they're sleeping. So that happens spontaneously. And so to prevent that, we have the baby sleeping on their back. But in the society that we live in today, people are very busy. And so to keep the baby safe, we put them in carriers, strollers, bouncers, these incline bouncers. Some swings are even inclined. So the baby is spending the majority of their time on their back versus being on their stomach for tummy time and play, which is ideally what the child should be doing majority of the day unless they are sleeping. So the idea is in playtime, the baby should be on their stomach, whether they're on your chest, all these different play mats they have. And when they're sleeping, that's when they should be on their back. And so to prevent that, the book talks about different just ideas that the parent can have to play with their child, just to help prevent that. But if it is already happening, please don't feel dismayed. Reach out to your doctor and they can refer you to a physical therapist who could refer some other exercises and or a helmet that could help with that. So,
Nice.
yes.
All right, we're
Very
going to
good.
talk
Thank
about
you.
how people can get their copy if they're interested toward the end of the show. But
Mhm.
back to you and your story.
Okay, so fast forward. So after that was completed, I really felt like I had accomplished something because it's like, okay, I did something. Hallelujah, Jesus.
Yes, yes.
And so then, like I said, fast forward after I had the mental health first aid training with Mia, I realized that, in all of the discussions that I've had with people over the years, that some of the things I may have said may not have been helpful. It may have, oh, do you want to say something, Mia?
I was hoping that you would tell us, because you're going into the helpful versus not helpful things that people can say. And I wanted to know, what are some of the things people even said to you during your recovery that you felt weren't as helpful, or that you've just heard, people say?
You know what? Okay, so before the incident in 5 years ago, I had a prior incident that kind of led up to that in my early 20s. And I could be blunt on the show. I had ovarian cancer, so God is good. I am alive. And in that time, I was just turning 22. And so from then, even to the incident 5 years ago, what people would love to say was, "Oh my goodness, you're so young." That was one thing that stuck with me forever, is that you're so young, how could this happen to you? And even in my therapy now, when people tell me their age is a reason for something, I'm always just like, your age has nothing to do with anything.
Right.
Illness comes at all ages, all shapes, all sizes.
Yes.
So you're so young, God has a plan for you, which is something I believed, but at that time it was just like, that's not helpful at the moment.
Yes.
And then also, what they say, like,
And can I comment?
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, and can I comment on that? That's so powerful that you said people will say, God is what did you say they would say? God
God has a plan. He has a
God has
plan
a
for you.
plan. And can't that be shocking that you would think like, oh, this has to be a great thing to say, God has a plan for you, but just realizing that depending on what's going on for a person, that may not be what they want to hear. I think thank you for pulling that out. That a lot of people don't know that. We think like, oh, that's good. I said God, and God has a plan. That's powerful, but it may not be the best thing to say to a person. So anyway, I just want to underline that. But continue.
I completely agree. I completely agree, especially if you don't know what that person is just in that moment,
Yeah.
Also, just the silence, believe it or not saying anything at all was very hurtful, because I felt that, I don't know, I just wanted people to reach out in some regard, but it's weird because it's just like, you don't know what you want them to say, but you
Right.
know what you don't want them to say,
Right.
which is weird. So with that, right, and then taking the first aid course, I realized that when you love someone and when you care about someone, when you're concerned about someone, because care has different levels, right? You can care about a coworker, you could care about someone you just met just because of you see that they're in need. Care has different levels. So when you have care for someone, you want well for that person and you want immediate well for that person, right?
Right.
And so with that, it's like we don't know what's appropriate and we don't know what's going to help in that moment. And because of that, we allow that fear to stop us from doing anything at all. And that idea of that stopping moment where we don't even push forward to try to lend aid is where the idea for open door cards was birthed. Because I always want someone to feel that they're able to start a conversation. We're not all professionals. We know this. We're not all going to make this miraculous change that we see in movies when one person says the inspirational word and the person is like, yes, my life has changed. We're not all that. However, we can have someone when they're in a moment of need and they're crying, we can have them be able to encourage them so that they can cry on your shoulder. We can encourage them to go to the next step of, okay, let's go talk to somebody, a professional. And that's really what the cards are for. It's to allow someone to have the words to be able to start the conversation to get the next step of help. So open door cards, literally opening door of a conversation, those difficult conversations, whether it's anxiety, stress, depression, thoughts of suicide, all those difficult conversations that people don't know how to even begin. We want to give them the words to start the conversation and feel comfortable enough to start the hard words so that that whoever that loved one is, that person you care for, can get support. And whatever that looks like for them in that moment, we want to help get that.
Wow.
This is so relevant. Were you going to say? This is so relevant. I mean, we are living at a time in Earth's history where it's just so much going on. And I mean, obviously, things have been going on since the start of time. But I just think about, all that's happening in the news. People are still reeling from COVID, and we will be, because I don't know about you, Arlette and Victor, but it just seems like there's this, on one hand, people are just, okay, back to regular life. Let's just get back to regular life. Let's just get back to normal. And something I heard you say, Let, was, man, I kind of wanted people to acknowledge, what was going on with me. I wasn't sure what I wanted them to say, but I didn't want it to, this is the way I heard it. I didn't want what happened to me to be like invisible, And so when I'm saying that, I'm like, on the other hand, it's like rush back to regular life. But then on some level, you kind of feel like, well, rushing back to regular life makes it feel like all the people I lost, that was just, it's just regular, or all the opportunities I may have lost, or I lost my job and it's just like, well, get another job, or I lost my family member. Well, you can have other people, it's like this, what you're doing, open door cards, is going to be phenomenal. It's so needed. I'm excited to see it in schools upon schools and business upon businesses. To walk by and see it in the Hallmark section or wherever, like I really am, because people need this. And, sometimes you don't even know what you need until you see it and you're like, wow, this is exactly what I need. And that's how I feel about your cards. I feel like when people see them, they're going to, this is exactly what I've been needing. This is somebody's acknowledging that, something has happened and this is how we can start a conversation about it. Wow. That's amazing.
Thank you.
So tell us, so in the open door, with your open door cards, are you okay to tell us, so how does it work with the cards? Like, how would that look?
So the idea is that so I will actually be having two types of card, two categories, I would say. And the idea is, if you have someone that you care for, you will go to this website, and I will hopefully be having some pop-up shops. But anyway, be able to get the card, and based upon what you think their need is. Of course, we're not trying to diagnose anybody out here, guys. We're not trying to say you have depression. We're not trying to do that. However, if you see some things that you're like, hey, I'm a little concerned, this card seems relevant to the situation, you are to get the card, present the card in the most calm, collective way you can, and see if the person is open at that moment to discuss anything with you. And as the person giving the card, I will have some tips with the card as to how to communicate with that conversation, what a helpful conversation will look like.
Yes.
The other type of card that I'll be giving will be from the person actually who's experiencing the difficulty. So sometimes when we have a difficulty, like once again, we don't really know what we want, but we know we want something. And so that card will be from their perspective, reaching out to whoever they feel can help them in that time of need. And on the back of each card does have a QR code that links directly to the Suicide Lifeline Prevention. It has the national updated text, which is 988, right?
Yes.
Which you can text or call. And it also has the old Lifeline phone number on there, just in case, because that number is still relevant until in some cities and states. So it has all of that access on the back of the card. So it just gives you quick links to be able to get some support immediately in that moment. If it's needed right there in the conversation, it gives you some support. And if not, if that person, is ready to talk, that support is right there for them on that card whenever they are ready to speak to somebody, if not you as the giver.
Wow. This is so amazing. This is really, really powerful.
And did you say that new hotline number is simply 988?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You can either text or call that, and you should be able to reach someone immediately. Yes, 988. That is nationally.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, very good. Very good. And this is really powerful. And look, we have here. Oh, you didn't need to go there. Okay, got you. And so, we're talking about, how can we start a conversation with the person that we may see signs, even perhaps symptoms that a person is hurting. And I just wanted to highlight that really quick. We know that a sign is something that you can see with your eyes, right? And a symptom is something you may observe or the person may actually tell you. And so some things that you want to be watching out for that may cause the person to want to get this card that Arlette is talking about, that you may want to purchase the card, is that has the person not been themselves lately, if that makes sense. So how are they dressing? How are they talking? How are they eating? That shows signs that things are different. Have they lost a significant amount of weight or gained a significant amount of weight in a short period of time? Are they a person that likes to look nice and now you see that they're looking unkept? Are they more talkative and likes to show up and show out to different things, and now maybe they're more withdrawn, or they're overly talkative and just taking lots of risks? What do you hear the person say? Are they saying things like, man, why do I have to wake up every day? Something like that could indicate that something's going on for the person. They could be suicidal. And so one of the things I love about the training that we do, Arlette, and you've just been really pivotal in helping us in our business to grow on this level, is that, being able to get the information out there and to feel comfortable talking with the person is going to be really pivotal. Like, you could literally change a life, you could save a life. And so I'm really glad that you have this card. Tell us now, as an entrepreneur, can you tell us, like, what are some of the triumphs that you've had in producing open door cards?
Oh, okay. Triumphs. Well, I'm on y'all podcast. Hallelujah. I think that's a triumph. Man, to be honest, guys. Okay, so for those of you who are watching, it has not even launched yet. Okay, so my launch date is, by God's grace, mid-August. I'm not even going to say the exact date. Mid-August is the launch date. Okay, so I would say when that comes, that would be a big point, a big triumph. To be honest, I count some of the little things as triumphs. I've taught myself to not look for the end goal, the Z, as the triumph, but to look for all the stepping stones. Because that's the way I kind of keep myself going. Because in the past, like, I felt, like I said, like a failure, or I felt guilty when I didn't reach that huge pivotal moment. And I had to reroute my brain around what a triumph looked like. So I would say a triumph for me is finding a designer that I like. I've been working with. That is a triumph because I was designing all of the cards by myself.
Yeah.
And a triumph also for me was learning to designate and actually
Mhm.
get help. As a person who's constantly doing multiple things at once, I felt that, listen, I can do all of this by myself. You know, I could do everything. I could write them. I could design them. I could print them. I could do everything. And a triumph for me was hearing God's voice say, you do not have to do that. That's not what I'm
Yes.
asking you to do.
Yes.
And actually stopping that and
Mm.
seeking help and guidance. So I would say that's a triumph because that took a big burden off of me with stressing myself out, feeling that everything had to be done by me. Because we all know in the past, when you like to do things by yourself, you want them done a certain way. And when they're not done that way, you're just like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it myself. That's why I didn't
Yes.
want to get help in the first place, you know? And
Yes.
so a big triumph is just letting go and getting help.
Mhm.
So yes, those are
That's
my triumphs.
powerful. Those are some really juicy gems as
Yeah.
entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I heard you say, okay, and I just want to like rewind back a little bit because there was something powerful that you said. First of all, and this is us highlighting some gems that she's giving us in these triumphs. So rewinding back, one, you said God gives you dreams, right? And shows you things that you can do and create. That's really powerful. And so for those of you who are looking on or that will look on, don't just shrug those dreams to the side. If you've been having dreams or a dream about something specific, God may be speaking to you, for those who maybe, like, well, Mia, I don't really believe in God. Okay, if you've been having dreams, maybe there's something special there for you. So look into that, okay? And then you talked about having a notebook, right? Having a notebook where you could just write things down. And that's really awesome because sometimes things come to our minds, but then we're not able to, we're like, what was that? Oh man, I can't remember.
Mhm.
And so having a notebook. And then I love how you said just now how, wow, I count the little steps and I'm not just thinking about the end goal. And I think especially for us as entrepreneurs, those of us who haven't been in business for 20 years or even 10 or hey, even 5, it can really be overwhelming to wonder, is my business growing, am I getting anywhere? But you said just take it little steps at a time, count the little victories, which are really big victories. And so I'm glad you said that. That blesses me. Yeah.
Yeah. I think what another thing she just said was delegate. Get
Ooh,
help.
yes.
Don't do it all yourself. Us independent people, we can suffer. It might work through high school, college, and then we get to the real world and real
Mm,
world jobs, and we're trying to do it all on our own, and we
yeah.
can hurt ourselves.
Yes, yes.
And so, being able to trust people to do things, and if one person doesn't work out, doesn't mean take it back. Means find somebody else that's qualified
Yes.
to do it. But you're gonna kill yourself trying to do everything all by yourself.
Ooh, that's a juicy gem right there. That's good. Okay.
Too, that I also have a full-time job. These
Oh,
all of us as we're working full time, and then we're trying to like put all this together in our spare time. So
yes.
for your entrepreneurs out there, it's like that is burnout is real, and I have been trying with these cards for honestly over a year, guys, just because
Yes.
of trying to do the work-life balance, which doesn't really exist, but just trying
Mhm.
to just make time really. So yeah, I just want to put that little
I
piece
appreciate
in
your
there.
transparency. People need to hear this. They need to know that it's okay and that it can be done because, who says that this has to be done in 3 months? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Who says that this has to be done in, 6 months, but the fact that you're continuing on and you haven't, put this down. And I'm so glad you haven't because, again, open door cards, I just see it. I know people need this. They need this right now. And whenever it comes out, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be girl, it's just gonna be powerful. So anyway, I want to know. So I know we're almost done with our show for today, but I want to know what is, and you've already given so many gems. So what is, if you had to share something with entrepreneurs or just people looking on, what is something you want to share? Maybe is a challenge that you've been facing that you are still working through or you work through and you just like to say, hey, if this comes up for you, this is my advice or this is my suggestion, something like that.
Something that was really big in the delaying, I would say, of my
Mm,
progress was well, I know we know it as self-sabotage, right?
Mm.
However, I identified it as hmm, procrastination by telling myself that I needed more things to do the task at hand. Okay, and
Mm.
let me break that down. So in the social media world where we're constantly seeing things we need, right? Things we need to buy, things that will make our lives easier, all of these things, right? And so I know on this journey specifically, I'm not going to talk about the other things that I put my hand to do and didn't complete, but on this journey, I found that like when I was stuck with whether if it was part of the idea or how I was going to complete something, I would be like, okay, what can I get that will make this easier? Right. And then that will take me down this rabbit hole of, okay, I need to go to the store and I need to buy all of these things. Once I have these things, then I could do it. And then I'll get the things, right? And it has nothing. I still don't use the things, or I'm like, well, I still need one more thing. Take myself to the store, buy some more things, and it's just this idea that you need stuff, right, to complete the task.
Yeah.
And God had to tell me, He was like, stop buying stuff. And I think that was like my way of like procrastinating because I was afraid and I felt that it could be better, right? So once again, this is early on, like once again, I was looking at the end. Like I know what I want this to look like at the end, so it has to be there now.
Mm.
And that idea that it has to look like that right now. So what can I get to make it look like that right now? Was more delaying for me as I'm trying to go to the store and buy all of these things and make all of these things. So I guess my point is when you're starting something new, start with what you have. What do
Woo.
you have? Right? What do you have? Because to me, okay, I'm going to say God, but to other people who may not believe, you have whatever you need already.
Wow.
Okay. And what you will need will come. So whatever you have, so I have to tell myself, what do I have in me? What do I have that is creative? Okay, I have the words. So let
Yes.
me write down all the words. And that's what I did. I just started writing. I had notebooks and then I converted to online and I just started writing. And I was like, okay, this is for this, this is for this. Then I started reaching out to professional people. How does this sound? Oh, that doesn't sound good. Okay, let's delete that. Let's change that.
Right.
So it's like, okay, that is what I have. What else do I have? I have a computer. I have a printer. Okay, it's not the best, but at least I could get what it looks like, the format of the idea of what I want. I was about to buy this whole new printer, guys, this expensive printer. Listen, went and bought a Cricut. I've not used this Cricut. Guys, don't buy stuff unless
Mm.
you know already. So rewinding all of that, like just what did I have within myself that I could start and get as much done with as possible before spending money? Because we know as entrepreneurs, money is precious.
Yeah.
Money is precious and we don't want to waste our resources. And I finally learned that. So I'm very thankful for that. So now the money I have, I'm able to help get a designer help me. I'm able to have a professional printer, print the things for me. So just don't be so quick to buy things. Use what you
Mm.
have first, and then as you go along, you'll see what is necessary, not what is sparkly. I would say
Mm.
I would say the biggest my biggest pitch
You
to
know,
anybody starting anything.
wow, wow,
That's
that's
powerful.
powerful. And an old professor of mine used to say this, and I'll be careful of how I say it, but he said I'll say the Jews, right? He said the way the Jews start business, they have their idea, they start in their kitchen working on the idea, then they need more space. And so they go to the bedroom and they keep working on production. Business grows, they need more space. They go to their garage and they work on their thing and they need more space. So they ask their next door neighbor, hey, can we rent out your garage to help do this? And then, things are better. Then they get the store. There are other people who they get the store.
Yeah.
And then they try to start the business because it's a great idea. They might not know anything about business. They just know how to do the thing. And so when it comes time for accounting and tax filing and this and that and the other, or maybe they haven't even studied the market, and the business will flop. I'm here in Huntsville, and there's certain spots in Huntsville where I've seen businesses like rotate out of the same spot, for whatever various reasons. And, I think that they haven't done the work beforehand. They may have been great at what they did, but they did not know we need a store. First thing, we need a store, and we need this, we need it. And they spend all this money on the front end, and they end up, closing down. And so I think what you're saying is very, very pertinent.
Yes.
Don't buy too much first. Doing the brain work, the brainstorming, getting the ideas down. I think that is so potent. I think a lot of people can resonate with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow, this is really, really good. And I mean, as I'm listening to you, I'm like, there we go. There goes that ingenuity. There goes that ingenuity. So, so this is kind of okay. Here we go. Before we let you go, we want to know, like, what would you like to see happen for your cards? Like, if you could share an imagination with us, if you will, like, what, what will feel like victory, or, just be amazing for you with these cards?
What would feel like victory for me has changed.
Mm.
I don't get emotional here.
Yeah, come on.
Okay.
Let it out.
So
girl.
what it has changed, because at first I would visualize my cards in like all the stores, right? And this big display, and people in the store, like that was my first vision. But now the victory would be hearing the story.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah. Just hearing the story of how it helps somebody. Like randomly,
Mm.
not even someone maybe even directly knowing that I was a creator, but just, yeah, hearing someone share their story.
Hearing the story. Mm.
Yeah.
That's
That would be victory for me.
Wow.
that's powerful.
Because the part in the story is just the first thing, but it's the process. Like, was it helpful?
Mm-hmm.
That's really, at the end of the day, what I want it to be is helpful. Um, was it helpful? Did someone get help? Did someone overcome an obstacle? Did someone get closer to a loved one? Did someone have a moment of clarity for themselves,
Yeah.
That it will be victory for me to hear that secondhand or just in passing. That would be victory for me.
Mm.
Wow, that's really
Wow.
powerful.
Wow. I'm not cheering up. My eyes itching, but that is powerful. That is.
It's so powerful because what I'm hearing you say, Arlette, and gonna say guilty. I think I sometimes as an entrepreneur, I can spend a lot of time thinking about, yay, and I'll be able to travel, or I'll be able to do this and that because the business is successful. But what's most important is just what you said. That did the idea God birthed inside of me help someone? Did it transform a life? Did it improve somebody's day? You know, that's really what our businesses are here for. Whether you're a baker, open door cards, a barber, even if you're not an entrepreneur and you're working at whatever job you have you been able to touch a life? Did your presence make a difference for the people around you in the positive? And that's what a business hero is. And so you're definitely that. And we're just so grateful you could take the time. You're a busy lady, to be on the show, and I look forward to both
Yes.
for your business. Yeah.
So we had a few comments there.
Oh, good.
I
Thank
think
you.
you've got a fan on here, Arlette. She's come with lots of questions and comments.
Oh, yes. Let's hear some.
Yes.
Can you pull them up
So
for
we're
us?
rewinding just a little bit. This is from Florence Thompson. Maybe you might know her. I don't know. Isn't your maiden name Thompson?
Yeah,
What?
it's very familiar.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful woman. I'm glad the picture's there. What did she say? Can being,
Can being involved in so much be an advantage or a hindrance? I think this was from earlier when you were talking about, how in high school and growing up you were just involved in a whole lot. And I mean, I believe any of us can answer. But you can have the first swing.
yeah, was it a hindrance or an advantage for you personally?
Personally, I feel that it was an advantage because I was exposed to so many different types of people. And to me, the only way you could let me not say the only way, one of the ways that we become more in personal with people and build rapport as adults is being exposed to different people, backgrounds, and cultures. The more we have exposure to that, the more we can understand differences in everything, tone, passions, everything. And so that just makes us more relatable so that people feel more comfortable to talk with us. And me being a therapist, doing physical therapy, I mean, I find that a huge advantage now because I'm able to kind of build rapport very quickly with any patient who I come in contact with. Also, attribute that to the Holy Spirit, me personally. But I feel that just being able to be exposed to it, which is just builds a rounded person. So I feel that it was an advantage for me.
Yeah, I think it. I believe it. I can also see it being a hindrance, but I think it depends on the individual and their ability to manage.
Yeah.
Time management would be a big thing. There's some people, and I've seen where people are involved in too much and are succeeding at none of them, or they're not achieving the gains that they could achieve because they're spread way too thin, or they might not be spread too thin, but not managing well the things that they do have.
Yeah.
So I think it comes down to the individual and their ability to manage responsibly the things that they're interested or dedicated to doing.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. It depends on the person. And I was thinking the way you would know for yourself whether it was a hindrance or an advantage is how are you holding up? Like, are you healthy? Are you getting rest? How are your nerves? Are you irritable? Are you, snatching?
Are you making time for others?
Yeah, yeah.
That's
And
important.
how do other people around you that you say you care about, how is that going for them? Because sometimes we can be so involved, but we have no time for the other things that we say are important, like our health and our wealth and our family relationships and things like that. So yeah, it would definitely depend. And then, seasons of life too. So when you said that you were in high school, right? And in high school, you didn't have a husband, you didn't have your fur baby, right? You had different priorities then versus in this phase of your life, you know, those seasons may look different. Maybe in one season of life, having lots of things going on at the same time would be very helpful, whereas in another season of life, it could be damaging. So, yeah, very good. Thank you for that question. Thank you so
Yes.
much,
Well, she
Florence.
has more.
Oh, good.
So, what's the scientific name for flathead?
Oh, good. Yes.
Um, okay, so depending on the position of where the flathead syndrome is happening, it could be plagiocephaly, it could be brachiocephaly. Um, yes, those are like the two main ones, either in the back of the head or in the top front of the head. So,
All
Good.
right.
Good. Thank you for that.
Amen. Well, she said, she commented when we were talking about dreams. Yes, I believe dreams are given by God. And at the end, she said, "That's powerful. Praise God." We have one other question that's come up from one other person, Tori Price. Hey, Tori. Tori is asking, what key traits are you looking for when selecting someone to assist with your projects?
That's good. That's a great question.
this, guys, this was tricky because once again, I had to let the reins go, right? And in that, it was a very scary process. And so for me, I was very prayerful about it because one of the prayers that I kept praying was like, Lord, send me the person. Because if I go looking, I might look for things that I shouldn't be looking for, And I feel like my references, of course, is like biblical stuff where it's just like, man looks on the outside, God looks on the inside. So for me, I kept praying, Lord, send me the person, send me the person. And in my discussions with some people who I know who do business, my different mentors, they guided me to different platforms. And at least in the platforms, I'm like, okay, at least I know I went on Upwork, which is a very professional platform to get like freelance work stuff done. And I was like, okay, Lord, you guided me to the platform, and I got me to the person. And so in creating the post, the job posts or whatever, I got people who sent me information. And in that, I pretty much looked at personality, like will my personality match theirs? Because I like to have open communication, and I don't want to feel that I'm hurting someone if I'm giving a critique, and I don't want to feel that that person can give me a critique. And so open communication, also that they want to do the project, not just because for the money, but they have an interest in what I'm doing and have like a passion or just any care for what I'm doing, not outside of just having the money. And then of course, talent, they have to be able to, to do what I need them to do on the first go, not on the first go, but on the first job, on the completion of the job. It should look the way I want it to look. So yeah, so honestly, I just go for wherever God guides me. Like he guided me to like an amazing person. So I'm really, really thankful that I'm working with this person. But yeah, so personality, reliability, and are they interested in what I'm doing? Do they care? Because their care is going to show in their work.
That's good. Those
That's
are some
great.
good. That was a great question, and that's some really good barometers that we can use in trying to get help when we're delegating. Very, very good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Letty, for being on the show. Look, Arlette,
Yeah.
we call her Letty,
Yeah.
for being on the show. It's
Or
been amazing.
we're gonna throw up her contact
Oh, please.
slide.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, because people will want to know how to reach out to you, if they're interested in what you've got going on. And so if you want to connect with Arlette Thompson-Pile, PTA, you can reach her on Instagram or Facebook. The username's the same, Mrs. Arlette P. If you are interested in her book, Flathead Syndrome, about Flathead Syndrome, look at that. I'm off my back. You can go straight to www.arlettepile.com. That is ARLETTEPILE.com. And that's the website specifically for her book. And if you want to know, because right now there's not a website for open door cards, but that's in the works. So if you want to be alerted when the product is going to be launched, she said middle of next month, go ahead and click on this bit.ly link. It's in the description already, but bit.ly/H have the words.
I love that. Have the words.
Yes, please.
Have the words. I'm sorry.
Have the words. Have the words to say. Yes, use a capital H. I tried to use a lowercase h and it did not work. All right, so make sure you use that capital H for have the words. All right. But wow, we have had a wonderful time with you, Arlette. Let me remove this, and you have another great job, team.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you for the support. And yes, if you have comments, and I forgot to say so at the beginning, please, go ahead, jump in and share for future episodes. Okay. But usually you ask if our interviewee has any final words or thoughts.
I mean, I want to turn it over to you, but I love your have the words, as I was like, man, I'm gonna have the words when I have open door cards. That's awesome.
Wait, I'm sorry. Are those like cards behind you?
They are. Which way do I move? Yes, they are cars behind me. I could do a quick. I can't orient myself. Yes, so just a little quick.
Oh,
where's the
screen for even veterans? Oh,
yes.
Wow.
And like I said, have our information at the back here.
Wonderful.
Yes. So more of this soon. Say it again.
The other one just looks like I'm supposed to walk in it.
Yes.
Ooh, that's beautiful. Absolutely.
Wow. So again, if you're trying to be aware of when things launch, please, by all means, go ahead and
Yes.
click on that bit.ly link so you can be listed. Just drop your name and email. And so you can be alerted when this thing comes out.
And so that you can have the words, the right
Hey,
words.
come on now.
Come on now.
Love it.
Great,
Love
great.
it, love it, love
Do
it.
you have any closing words for us, Arlette?
Thank you guys for having me on the show. I'm gonna be honest, I was very nervous and hesitant just because I felt that this was making it official. Just one of those, like I said, triumph moments. Since I haven't launched yet, it's just like, okay, God, this is a push from you. I recognize that, and so I'm very thankful that you guys were able to have me on. Thank everyone out there for watching, who's watching now, and who will watch in the future. And I'd just like to welcome you to our community at Open Door Cards. I hope to see you all at an event or on IG. I am very open to communication if you guys have any questions outside of here. But just look forward to all of our interactions in the future and hopefully to one day hear your story.
Yes, awesome, awesome.
Amen.
Hey, man. Well, I look forward to having you back on the show, maybe in a few months or whenever when it's launched and we're
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness. Yes.
Yes.
All right. Well, have a good rest of your day. And to
Thank
all
you.
of you that were on the Business Heroes podcast, if you are a business hero, you are, you're a business hero. Please reach out to us. We'd love to have you on our show to highlight how you are pursuing purpose and profit so that you can affect the world for good. And we're so glad that you took the time out at any moment in this broadcast to take a look. And yes, definitely check us out at painunwasted.org. And anything else?
Yeah, if they're trying to contact us because they don't know how to contact us,
True.
they
Good.
can go ahead and drop a message in our contact us page. Otherwise, I would say yes, you all have an awesome day. Please, especially if you're on YouTube, like, share, subscribe, and yes.
See you next week.
See you next week. Next week is our anniversary.
It is our anniversary. What are you saying?
That we may or may not be here. But if we're not here, you know why. But stay tuned because we'll be back. We will be back.
We will be back.
Yes. Otherwise, y'all have a great day.
Yes.
God bless y'all. And thank you for joining us today.
Yes. Awesome. That's good.